So let's start with some basics. If we imagine we set up a rally and there are a lot of important things to take care of. This is one of those topics is really important because if we check out, I need to find a find or here we have infected. And that's not about infected, but about getting to a leader merge. So there's one important thing about leader merges. Nowadays we have the carrier, and the carrier has 3 skills, and the leader should always use the carrier, especially if he's a strong one. And then we have 3 different other aircrafts, and we will go more into those details. But the helicopter is not really good for joining. So we have the aircraft Gen 3 and the aircraft Gen 1. And those 2 are the really relevant for joiners. We also have troops. We will go into the troop details, troop quality, heroes you should use, you shouldn't use, how many you should use, Tempest arms topic, we will cover that one. We will go into the topics around those tanks. That will be mainly where we're going to, and of course ask all the questions you have in mind that should be covered. I'll try to get all of them. So we start with the hangar, and here we have the carrier. That is for your rally lead, the important part. If you have the carrier by yourself, well, that is nice for you, but there's a thing about the carrier. The carrier is great for rally lead for the rally, but also, and that is also a part that some doesn't know, when solo marching or garrisoning a building, attack amplification is increased by 7.5%. So it is also for both rally and solo attacking, and it has an attack amplification of 8.1%. So, but that is from a rally lead, or for the building lead. If you change rally lead and building lead for whatever reasons, there are various possible reasons, but that is where it is. And the other 2 should be ignored because the enemy wounded ratio is increased by 5%, while the attack amplification is way more worth it than the second talent and the third talent. Yeah, well, that is only for personal. When garrisoning your settlement, wounded ratio is reduced. So if you use that on the third talent, then this will also boost your defense part less wounded. But there's also a thing about this one, and that is more hidden in this part. So first of all, with upgrading this part from your rally lead, more numbers of your aircraft will get activated. And it reduces the rounds and so on. That is not the important part. But in that rally, you want to have a mixture of aircrafts joining, because it only has of Gen 1 and Gen 3. So for example, you have a few players who have the Gen 1 Stinger attacker on 6 stars, and those will join on the second talent. That is for joiners really important, second talent. First talent is for a rally lead, but it is, as you can see here, 6.24% versus 8.1% of the rally lead with a carrier. So you have nearly 2% difference already there. So that is not good to use as rally lead. You want to use the carrier as much as possible. And by using the second talent of Gen 1 aircraft, you will get additionally 2.6%. But there are more than just the Stinger attacker, because we also have the FA1 Spectre. And the second talent, if you can see that here, when solo marching or garrison your building, well, we're not doing that solo, so we're in a rally. But here we get on 6 star 3.9%. But it is limited on how many of the booster can be used. So if the carrier is maxed, it can get up to 8 times. But if you stack in more, you want to have a mixture of Generation 3 and Generation 1 aircraft. But the Generation 3 aircraft, as said, 3.9%, that will give a nice booster for your rally in terms of troop amplification, attack amplifier, versus what you get here, 2.6%. So there's already the first difference. So focus on the FA1 Spectre as joiner and always have in mind to use the second talent. Why not the third talent might be also a question, because the third talent doesn't add anything towards the rally. Because what it does is when joining a rally, garrison wounded ratio is reduced by 5%. But the important part here is the 5% is only related to your own troops, not to the whole rally troops. So if you bring in 100,000 troops, 5,000 of yours will be reduced in terms of wounded ratio. Not for the full rally of maybe 1 million, just as examples numbers. Then it's not related to the 1 million, it is only to your 100,000. So that is why the third talent is literally the most wasted skill talent in a rally. Rather have everyone sitting on the second talent who's joining than anyone on the third. Just to make sure that the highest and best skilled airplanes are taken into the rally. That is related to the rally in terms of which aircrafts matters. And you might found rally reports where people with the helicopter does crazy good damage because most people have the helicopter maxed by now. And that has an impact on, and now we'll come to the second part of the topic around the aircrafts, that is the formation system. And of course it's get boosted by the level and the skills and the stars from your helicopter. But generally speaking, for your total rally, it is more relevant that you have high star level of Generation 3 airplane and Generation 1 airplane. Regarding the formation system, and please drop your questions if you have any. There is no question not allowed. As easy as they seems, we all been through that more or less. For joiners, plasma cannon, plasma turret, plasma wings, plasma fuselage are important. Plasma engine is only for the rally lead, important or for the building lead. That should be that you do not waste anything related to that. So as joiner, focus on getting those first four up and running. That is really important for your rally, and push your rally lead to focus on getting also this one up and running. It's expensive, but that is definitely one component of having a successful rally. Of course, you won't be able to beat any super maxed rally with that, no doubt, but that is how to optimize the best of your rally. So that is related everything around formation system and the squadron, the setup of your aircrafts. Well, Behemoth is a really important topic. And of course, there's the monkey, there's the dino, we have now companion, and so on. Your rally lead needs to push the companion as crazy as possible because the new companion is super powerful as it boosts the companion 1 and 2, the monkey and the dino with those skills. So that is also important for every joiner, but realistically, as the redemption is really limited with that stuff for the Behemoth 3, whatever you want to call it, that is a massive change. But here, the most important part regarding the Behemoth is that you have the main skill upgraded as much as possible, and the end skills, the reduction and the booster of the damage or of the reduction. That counts for literally all, and as joiner, this one is not priority for you. The last skill at all is literally for rally leads. And that is for both. So for Behemoth MK1 and for Behemoth MK2, the last skill is literally for rally leads relevant. And of course, as you can see, I have no ultra skill, and I would, in average fights, I'm a pretty decent rally lead. Of course, against top leads, I have no chance at all. How to join a pet? Great question. That is the next topic. We will jump into the pets as next one. Literally, the most important part are the first 4 of each Behemoth skills. Get them up to 20, and also remember the last parts here. Cooldowns, and also in those parts here, the pre-notes, where you can get up to 3 of 3. Ultra skills, way too expensive for the effect they have. How they affect it is important if your rally leads. I will cover the question of Booba regarding the joiner pads, and then we go on to the Migo books. If your rally lead doesn't have all three super fast maxed. Then there's the thing that you should check that you have a combination. So if anyone will focus, what a joiner can do is to align within your alliance to make sure that one has a focus fully on one of the other pets. For example, if my rally lead wouldn't have the Bengal Tiger already maxed, my would be taken. So I should focus to get that one absolutely maxed. So in a rally, my Bengal Tiger would be used. Same for any other of those pets. And that is important, and pets should be sent with. So you shouldn't send. You can send weak of the pets, that's also fine as joiner. But if you can align across your lines and you have maybe joiners who also have legendary pets, then align across your team from those who are always there for a rally, that they are focusing on the Doberman, on the Falcon. Not sure if there's any normal joiner having the Sandcat, but spread that. If you're not a top alliance with many spenders in, or really a weak alliance, then with not spending players or small spending players. But my pets are really not average, so I really pushed those. My Doberman has already max skills, my Bengal Tiger has already max skills, and the Falcon will also be soon maxed. Well, where I'm slacking is with the Sandcat because she's way too expensive, but she's great. So if you have her, it's worth to really push her. But, well, I'm on a budget, so I won't have her maxed that fast. Migo books from John, you had the question, is there a specific Migo book for joiners? Tough question. Not really. Because the thing is, and that is about march capacity and such things. You try to squeeze in 8 joiners or 8 people in a rally. And now we can go into, you could see that. And here you see the relevance of joiners. That is a great show of relevance of joiners. Because as you can see, there's no Selena on my side. There's no astronaut Angelica on my side. And the combat moral of me, I'm lower, so I don't have the advantage. And then you see here, formation system got won by us. And then we can check out. So our troop capabilities, well, that's easy because I had 120,000 less. And John, I will go to your question and explaining the topic about why I struggle to give recommendation or specific Migo books for that. Vehicles are pretty much the same, but have in mind, the overall comparison is purely BP comparison, battle power comparison, not really skill related. And then we go into the details. So here you have a lot of things that are all related to the both rally lead and the building owner. Heroes as well. And then we come to pets. Here I didn't have a good pet, but my joiners hadn't so much great ones as well. But here you see Behemoth part. And what you see here is we had a lot better Behemoths in there. And what you will see we have a lot of people in there. We can check out. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in. How you manage nowadays with march capacities around 280 up to nearly 400,000, especially during Migo times in a rally. And there you come to the conclusion that the more you boost your march capacity, the less people join into a rally. And then you struggle what you prefer. Do you want people sending 3 heroes, which increase the march capacity? And that we can show in an example. So if I go on that one here, with 3 heroes, I'll have a march capacity of 300,000. If I send none, I'll have a march capacity of 255k. If I send 1 hero, it's 270. And there are different options how you can reduce it still with 3 heroes. And in former times, and that is really where a lot of people and a lot of alliance struggle. In former times, the recommendation was just send 1 hero with skills on 555. So that is really from history time. But nowadays you need 3, and that is related to Tempest arms. So again, we jump from 270,000 to 300,000. So that is a booster of nearly 13%. 13% from 270,000. And that is really an issue because you want to have the buff from Tempest arms. Therefore, you need 3 heroes, all with Tempest arms on. But at the same time, you want to have 8 Behemoths in your rally. So that means have fun resetting all heroes down to level 1. So reduce their march capacity. And with Migo Booker's recommendation, so coming back to your question, John, with Migo books, people partially increase their march capacity, which harms again the effect of the rally. And that is the struggle. You want to have 3 heroes of each of your joiners with Tempest arms on, and at the same time 8 Behemoths to maximize the rally effect. And that is what you really see in that rally here. We have all over people with the Tempest arms on, and only my Tempest arms skills matters. So just to make sure, only my Tempest arms skills matters. And here you see already the issue is on the opponent's side a mixture of the rally leads Tempest arms. So he's losing buffs. He's losing advantages. And also he's losing with Generation 1 on Hunter and Infantry. That is not a really great one. Here I had Raising the Law, yeah, probably 0 effect. So that wasn't even a good one. And that was an echo in that fight. So that was a catastrophe from my setup, to be frank. But still we managed to win that. And here you will also see the effect. So Generation 1 MK2 is pretty much the best vehicles. If you go for the Generation 2 vehicles, they are not that great. They aren't. Even maxed, they are getting outperformed from Generation 1 MK2. They are so far yet the best vehicles. And why I say Tempest arms are important. Your joiners should have 3 heroes in their marches and really make fucking sure that they have them equipped. And it doesn't matter if they have a skill or not. The only relevance is, and now let me just jump to anything, the only matter is that they are at level 10. Skill does not matter for the joiners, but having them on level 10 matters a lot because that impacts the stats here, and that we can check out again in the rally report in the effects. And I'm really sorry, I don't want to blame anyone here, so please ignore who's that. It is not about, it's just showcasing what really matters. So you see here already advanced stats, here I'm bad, style damage bonus, and here you see that. I have the advantages from those Tempest arms. We got the full 10% and they got 0% because the lead already mixed various stuff. Damage bonus. Hero final damage 1.46% versus 2.8%. So here we had the disadvantage in hero final damage because my Tempest arms doesn't have hero final damage that much, but here you see a massive difference. 15% versus 22.63%. Here it is a small difference, but that is, if you go through all of them now, you will see those parts. And here we even disadvantage, so that is where you really can check out if everyone is listening to. Hunter hero final damage, we got the full 10%. They had hero damage taken reduction a bit. No. I don't know who said that it's only for 4 joiners, but literally everything is more or less related to the maximum amount of joiners. 4 joiners would mean 2.5% per joiner. That is not the case. You check this one out. How you manage the difference with only 4 joiners? That no. I have no clue where it was set, but I have no clue where 4 joiners come from. And that is really why I say teams that send only one hero joiner marches most likely have either an ultra strong rally lead and can be outperform the rest, but you can test it, have fun testing it. I mean, I'll try to showcase things here and feel free to test those. I'm not in the perfect world, so maybe they changed something, but the time we test this stuff, we used rallies with 1 joiner, hero, captain with Tempest arms on, and the result with 3 heroes and both Tempest arms on. All of them had Tempest arms on, was massive. The 10%, yeah, I can tell you where they're coming from. That you have used this one. There is the 10% coming from. So the 10% are not affected from heroes. Infantry hero final damage, that is that you use the same generation of Tempest arms. But the other effects for, let me go back here, 12 and 15%, those are affected. It's not about the regal retaliation 2 pieces. So if you have on here, if I change this one to like a generation 3 piece, then I will not get the 10% bonus anymore. But that is related to your rally lead or the building lead. You go on and send the same hero joiners, test it with 6 players, do a test with the same peoples on another side, and then you go on and equip 1 hero and add those Tempest arms on them. They just need to be on level 10. So it's not really hard to get players, because literally even sometimes joining player in your lines should have legendary Tempest arms by now and can bring them up to level 10 if they are not really focused on getting heavy health defense on infantry and such. So they just need to bring in the same generation on each of their hero. So that is the first fundamental. You can't mix up generations of Tempest arms. That's really the worst you can do. You can bring on an infantry, make sure that they have, for example, generation 2 or 3, whatever. An important difference is on a rider you can still have generation 1 Tempest arms. That is possible, because the stats doesn't matter that much on the rider hero. If you have really great skills, for example on Mia, now I have for some tests I had here generation 3, but I play regularly, for example Passive Water. I love Thunderous Prelude on my rider hero. You can have a mixture across the hero types, but within the hero type it should be the same Tempest arms generation. So in that example, make sure, for example, if your setup here is with Mia, there are generation 3 parts. On Wafa, for example, of Resilient styles, I have generation 2 Tempest arms. That is okay. Just at the same hero, make sure it is from 1 Tempest arms generation. That is really important. Which Tempest skill is good for infantry? Guide on the channel, but let's check at generation 3. So good ones on infantry, of course, Salvation. Everything what's literally healing based is really great on infantry. Rising Valor depends on what you face. If someone is using Scorched Terrain or controlled setup, it's great to put Rising Valor even on infantry. I would put them on, if you have 6, then put them on every. Lethal Landmine, the most useless, rare one. Yeah, and Regenerating Spring is also good. But do not underestimate also certain of those common skills. For example, I love Warm Up for on Wafa. It's doing really, really great for common skill, partially better than some of these with her, because it's really great common skill on a hunter hero. Not on every hunter hero. That's also important to understand. not every skill works the same on every hero type. So yeah, regarding the Migo books, it's really hard. So literally, if you want to heal a lot during Capital Clash and so on, yeah, well, go on. Let's go on that one regarding meeting. So what I do is Medical Mastery, and I think I did too much here, but I can't recommend to improve and increase your hospital capacity. Because by increasing your hospital capacity, you impact negatively your enlistment. So the duty rate will get badly affected by the larger your hospital capacity is. And another topic which also is super important as joiner in a rally, troop level and troop quality. If you have P15 and T12, that is what you want to have in a rally, in a perfect world. But really, it will have a pain the lower the troop and the plasma quality of your troops in a rally is. This will really harm your rally outcome. It has a quite important part in rally. So here troop capabilities is the combination of troop count. So that is why we have a disadvantage in that rally, 120,000. That's not too much difference, but it's a painful difference already. The plasma level of the troops, as well as the troop quality, so it is T11 or T12 within the P15 or P14. So why this is important? Because with P15, for example, you get all those crazy additional skills that come with P15 on top. The power comes and everything here comes on top. And this is what you want to have in your rally in a perfect world. P15, T12. That is nowadays more or less the minimum you want to have in there. And then you can also check it in a rally if you go on the details here. So we have here T12, and then you can see that here we had a P13, P15 T12, P14 T12. So that is all matters, and you can directly see that in this case in the battle power, but it indicates how much impact it has. So we had Boo in our rally with a crazy high impact of it. Now you can also check those details. I had only 287,000 in, and he had 315,000. So there you see already the difference. And also the combination is important, especially when defending several rallies. The less troops you have in a rally, in a defense side, and you have the strongest or one of the 8 strongest behemoths in a building, it will negatively impact it. It is better to recall and send a new march or reinforce your leftover troops than getting a 9s, a 10s player in there. That's really important as well. So there's a lot of factors you have to take care of and also identify. Because sometimes people ask me, hey, why I won this rally and why I lost that rally. And then you go into the details and see, yeah, certain players who provided the strongest active behemoths had really small portion of troops in there. And so literally after the troop died, their behemoth was inactive. So it had really small damage. And in the previous round where they sent full marches and been on the attacking side, there it was the case that those had full impact. So that are the topics I wanted to highlight really much, because that are really a lot of things I regularly see when people ask me, as a joiner, why did we lose that? As a joiner, why did we won that? And of course, also the rally leads ask, and that are the typical basic reasons. And then you can go into the details, and yeah, it is because you used the wrong skill on that hero or such stuff, but that is mostly related to really the rally lead and not to the joiner type of job. Do you have any questions related to joiner free-to-play players? that are the focuses. So troops, sending the right aircraft with the right skill, focus on the right part within the behemoths we covered, about putting the correct Tempest arms on it, and it not really related to skills as joiner, really. Level 10 is enough, no skills as needed as joiner, but make sure that those Tempest arms you equip on a hero are from the same generation. And really important, and I really hate to say that because I know shiny things are really interesting, but if you take the Tomb Raider store as similar to the Pearl store, please focus on the right things in the Pearl store, like formation system, like Behemoth crates and such. And I know how flashy it is to have a cool HQ skin and so, but if you really want to help being successful in the rally, then focus on those. Well, how to reduce your march size, we talked about it. If you want to use really 3 heroes, well, there's hero training area. Reset your heroes to level 1. That is one way. And do not push your march capacity as a joiner by using Migo books that push march capacity. And do not activate the 12% march purge, because that all impacts heavily in a negative way the amount of players that can get into a rally and to activate everything in the best way. But that's pretty much the summary of what we covered in that stream. And if you do not have any specific question, I would close the stream. Yeah, we can go into that one for sure shortly. So first of all, it really has a massive impact on how your team plays it at all. I haven't done mine today. They all did theirs today beside old MacPawn. So I probably will cover it anywhere in those top 3 rankings, maybe ranked 4th. So joiners should send their aircraft on, and that is not the one you should send. This is the one, minimum 2 of those should be in the rally for annihilation evades, and minimum 2 of those. But both should be on the second skill to be there. And I know there are players sending 100% infantry in that rallies. I wouldn't do that because it just boosts the rally lead solely, and it hurts overall the outcome for the alliance and for every joiner who plays that way. If you have farms who you like to sacrifice, they could, for example, send 100% infantry, those farms only. But all others should send really the Behemoth March with as joiner aircraft Generation 3 and Generation 1 on the second talent. I think that is how you can get the best outcome for all. Not promoting anyone special, because that is not the focus what I try to do. I want to make sure that all benefit. So the rally lead should benefit from getting a decent ranking, and the alliance should get a great result as a total, and also joiners, as joiners are really important. There are maybe one or a few teams where the rally lead can pretty much outperform everything that might be not correct done or not perfect organized by the joiners, but joiners become so important, and that is really even if you're a free-to-play player, and we have a lot of those in our team, but as you can see, we have a few spender, but we still do really good, and we are not the strongest team in our state, for example. So we can check, we are ranked 1, and you see the difference. So for just for reference, it's not showing off or something, but if you really have a team where everyone knows what to do and follows instructions and follows the guides that are provided, you can really achieve with this one. And just have that in mind, because I will show you now how many players we are and which rank we are. So just as a combination, we are rank 4, and we are not really 62 because there are also farms in it. So literally R3 to R5 are our active. So we are right now at 38 active players. And those are just our farms for events and such. So that is why we focus on having good results as a whole team instead of favoring one boosting anyone of our team on rank 1. Because overall we want to achieve that every of our joiners gets the best results. It's better to have a strong team together than only a strong individual. So that's all I could cover. If there's no question now coming in, I would close the stream. Thank you so much, guys. I hope I could help some of you. Share it and send me feedback.